she asked me what my major was and why I was in LA and all this. I was kind of telling her a little bit of my background story, and I told her my major is social and political science, and she said, "Oh my God, me too." And I said to her, "Yes, this is why we're friends." Because you and I talk about the similar things. You and I get into hour-long conversations, and this is why you like me as a person and I like you as a person. So then the conversation kept on going, and towards the end, I mentioned to her that I was going to give a talk to my beloved scholars, Smash. Like I mentioned to her about like 2 weeks ago. And she's like, cool, good luck and everything. And I said to her, yeah, it's gonna be on justice. And she's like, I believe you that we're friends because we talk about the same things, because I just remember that you and I do talk about injustice. So that made me realize of the kinds of things that I think about every day and I talk about every day. Kind of give me a boost. I talk about injustice because of my everyday activism. Is to think of ways to combat these systems that keep us in check, that keep killing us. The best way to figure out a solution to something is to constantly be thinking about it, to research it, to dig in and say, not just what can I do, but what am I gonna do right now? If I don't have a lot of things to do, what am I gonna get online and research the origins of white supremacy, or why racism exists in the first place, or why we as people of color have been kept divided when we're all oppressed? That makes no sense. So this is what social justice looks like right now. Monica has really done an excellent job. Today is the reason why I came to Smash. And it's the reason why I was so nervous to even do this presentation. So I'm like, if this goes right, or I'm gonna be disappointed for the rest of the summer. So I let that thought go a long time ago, aka half an hour ago. And I decided to speak from the heart. I'm here because my activism is spreading awareness. This is what's been happening for the past hour. Spreading awareness lets you know what's going on, and not only that, but what you can do, the power that you have. Part of the reason why we kept divided is that so that we don't realize that we too have power. We too can band together and say no more. There's people doing this kind of work. I got into community organizing, and if you can hit the keep going. Yeah. So I got into community organizing because the questions weren't enough. I was asking too much. What can I do? What is there to do? How can I fit into this process of bringing injustice into justice? And so I remember today, one of the first people who I met while my journey as a community organizer, and that is my friend Eric Martinez. And I sent him a text. I'm like, Eric, since you can't fly in and talk to my scholars about what community organizing means to you, why don't you record a video? And I haven't seen the video. So we're about to all see what Eric has said to all of us. If you can hit play,
Hey, this is Eric Martinez from Chicago, Illinois. The reason why I organize is because I believe that everyday people should have the opportunity to do extraordinary things for themselves and for the people that they love. Organizing, put simply, is building power and leveraging that power to bring back the resources needed so that people can live to their fullest potential. You know, I think every day people feel isolated, people feel powerless, like things in my neighborhood are this way and they don't seem to change, and I don't understand why. And I think organizing, what it does is it puts us in the space to say, hey, something's up, something's wrong. But then it also pushes us to think creatively about, well, it's more than just me. So what can we actually do about it? Organizing has given me that power. In the last 2 years, I was able to help elect the first woman to the 10th ward in Chicago City Council. I was able to make history as an individual, part of a collective struggle. This year we were able to remove one of the country's worst prosecutors who mishandled, Laquan McDonald's case and Rakia Boyd's case. And we were able to remove her because people said, we're fed up. We're tired of the way things are, and we need someone who's going to represent us. And we came together and we did that. Organizing could look various ways. It could be, you turning out 1,000 people to go vote, or it could also be you turning out 1,000 people to go and take to the streets and march. Organizing could look different, but what it does is it gives everyday people extraordinary power to do what they believe is right and to fight for what they believe will change their world for the better. I hope you consider organizing as you think about ways to change the world. I hope that you can find power through organizing, and you have a friend in Chicago that believes in you. Thank you.
You can turn the light on and go back again. So go back on. Yeah, you say it. So this is Eric. Eric is one of my greatest friends. Yeah, I'm not gonna go too much into it. I can talk about it. So when we sat down by the Tree of Life and discussed what happened in Louisiana, I keep hearing the question I've been asking myself for more than 5 years. It's just like, what can we do? So it brought me back to memories of when Trayvon Martin was shot, when his killer went free, when Mike Brown was shot, when his killer went free. And then it brought me back to this memory that scared me the most. That was when Eric Gardner was choked to death. And for some reason, by that time, I wasn't crying upon seeing the video. And so I held my breath. And I held it. And I held it until I couldn't hold it anymore. And I took that breath. And as I took that breath, I thought to myself, Eric Gardner didn't have the privilege of taking that one last breath. I do this kind of work because that could have been my cousin, who's about the same skin tone as Trayvon Martin and Mike Brown. Could have been me. Could have been each and anyone in this room right now. We are literally being killed. Wrong place and wrong time in QBU. So asking these questions, and the continuation of the process of continuing to ask these questions led me to community organizing. And community organizing, before I go into this very, complex definition of what it is, for me, is literally changing the world. It's like Eric said, everyday people contributing to changing the world. I wasn't a possibility for me before. Before I thought, oh, the world is the way that it is, and I can't do anything about it because it just is. Talk about the power of awareness. Is what we're doing here. It literally takes that belief and takes it out the window and says, no, we could change some stuff if we really wanted to. So community organizing is the process of building power through involving a community and identifying problems they share and the solutions to those problems. What's a problem you face in your community?
Violence.
Exploitation. gentrification.
Social stratification.
Can you clarify what that is for the rest of us?
Yeah, it's like it kind of whatever. It's like when you sort of like categorize people, like you divide them up into like groups based on their social group structure. All these things.
Mario, do me a favor and tap Lorenzo's shoulder. Second bullet point, identify the people and structures that can make those solutions possible. Berta, do you have any idea who can make the solutions possible? Community organizing entails enlisting targets, which are the people that we want to speak with / persuade to bring them on board with our issues. Enlisting those targets in the effort through negotiation, using confrontation and pressure when needed. So that looks like, for example, I was working in Illinois with a governor named Governor Quinn, and this guy was Governor Bruce Runner, who was running against him, had very conservative plans for when he got into office, he could execute it. So what we would do is that we would go into Bruce Runner's events, and we would have posters, and like 50 of us would walk into his event and be like, this is what Bruce Runner does, this is what he's planning to do if he gets into office, are you gonna stand for this? And we'll make it in a way to bring out emotions out of Bruce Runner's supporters. So that's what that looks like. Community organizing is about building an institution that is democratically controlled by a community that can develop the capacity to take on further problems and that embodies the will and the power of said community. When people chant, this is what democracy looks like, that is what democracy looks like. For the people, by the people. So these are the forms of community organizing. I try to make it as simple as possible. These are direct service, something like a soup kitchen, homeless shelters, trash cleanup, self-help, buying healthy food, choosing to ride a bike, education, writing a blog, sharing news links, educating smash advocacy, speaking to people, empower on behalf of the community, direct action, workers walking out of their jobs and affecting the company's profits. We have a little graph here, scale, that shows the actions that challenge the existing power relations and the actions that accepts it already existing power relations, which means we're not questioning them, we're not trying to challenge it, to make it work for us. So direct action does that. Direct action is community organizer. It's just workers walking out of their jobs and affecting the company's profits. It's McDonald's workers walking out of McDonald's and McDonald's not being able to make profits for the day because of that. That makes a company want to listen to us because they're like, oh, if this happens again, we're gonna have another profit loss. We don't want another profit loss. We gotta meet with these people. Putting pressure on whatever target you're trying to negotiate with. So there are 3 principles of direct action. You gotta win real, immediate, concrete improvements in people's lives. If your organization is not doing that, or whatever organization you want to join, you gotta get out of it. Give people a sense of their own power. There's power in unity. There's a reason why we're divided. There's a reason why the media displays so many pictures of us as criminals. So that Latinos can hit on blacks and blacks can hit on the Asians and Asians can hit on Latinos. Alter the relations of power by passing laws and regulations that give the organization power. And by putting into public office its own people or close allies. Harrison is what I was telling you. By the way, this information took me about a week and a half to process and understand. So at the end of the slide, I put a list of terms that you could research, so that you can take pictures and research, because if you're really interested in changing the world, this is how you do it. But it's not gonna come out of one workshop, one 20-minute workshop. I just wanna make that clear, because this information is very dense, and it took me a while to process it. Power generally consists of having a lot of money or a lot of people. Who here thinks the United States of America is a democratic government? There you go.
Lol.
Game. So people actually believe that. People believe that we're a democracy. And if you go back into the definition of democracy, it's for the people by the people in a simplified version. What we see today is corporations with huge amounts of money going into offices, going into governments and saying, these are the laws literally written down and printed. This is literally the law we want you to pass. It benefits us, it benefits you, we're giving you the money. This is the government today. It's my favorite thinker of all time, Noam Chomsky, just calls it, elections are moments when corporations come to bid on the state to see who can buy the state. And when that happens, they pass laws that benefits them, and whatever happens to the population, to the general population, that's not our business. Our business is to make profits and make more money and have more power. That is money power. People power is organizations have people to mobilize and cause disruption in different institutions. We see it a few instances in history. Actually, let's play this video. This is a good video.
30 African-American football players at the University of Missouri say they're on strike, and they won't play again until the university's president, Tim Wolf, resigns or is removed. It is the latest in a series of protests against the school's handling of race relations on campus. Here's Jamie Yukas.
University of Missouri President Tim Wolf is in the middle of a firestorm after a number of racially charged incidents on his campus. Today, head football coach Gary Pinkel posted a picture on Twitter of his team locking arms and saying he stands with his players. It comes a day after more than 30 black football players announced that they will not participate in team activities until Wolf is removed or resigns due to his, quote, negligence toward marginalized students' experiences. Protesters say Wolf has not done enough to hear their concerns. In today's statement, Wolf says his administration has been doing a tremendous amount of reflection on how to address these complex matters, and he wants to create the safe space for a meaningful conversation that promotes change. It's the same type of wording he used while talking to protesters last week.
I want to talk. I want to understand this. I want to come up with a way that we can get progress made on these particular issues.
In response today, the advocacy group Concerned Student 1950 tweeted, "Wolf is on the wrong side of history." The racial tensions on campus started earlier this year. Most recently, a swastika was found in a residence hall, drawn with human feces. Students reported having racial slurs yelled at them in at least 2 incidents. That led Chancellor R. Bowen Lofton to plead for an end to racism on campus.
It's enough. Let's stop this. Let's end hatred and racism at Mizzou.
But MU graduate student Jonathan Butler doesn't think enough has been done. He went on a hunger strike last week, saying he is willing to die unless Wolf steps down. The two met last night, but on Twitter today, Butler says he is extremely unsatisfied. He still has no true plan for change.
The team did not hold practice today. The Missouri athletic director put out a statement saying the team's focus is on the health of Jonathan Butler, and they don't plan to return to practice until Butler starts eating. Jeff, the Missouri Tigers have 3 games left in the season, including one scheduled for Saturday against Brigham Young.
Jamie, thank you very much.
So straight off the bat, who's the target?
Wolf.
David Wolf, right? And what are they doing to build power for their demands to be met?
Taking away the college's income.
What kind of power is not playing? It's just a football game, right?
Especially college football games, so that because a lot of when they get to the NFL, a lot of people want to look at the football players, and it's like, and so like if the team doesn't play, then nobody can come, and if nobody goes, then the NFL won't pay the school any money, so the schools in turn losing money by not having the school play.
Losing money, just think of that.
Yeah, the coach loses money.
Huh?
The coach.
What about federation?
He loses.
So the university as a whole loses money. The university is an institution, and the institution wants money. If football players don't play, the university doesn't earn that money. That's how you put pressure on a target. Clear example of how students have asked, what can we do and have done. You analyze where you have power. If you don't have power, you build it. If you understand power, you research power and understand it, and you do what these players did. So where can we hit the hardest?
Going back to your question, former part that I kind of saw was form of civil disobedience.